Good morning again. It's a few minutes after 10. We're going to spend some time with the Champlain Valley Farmers Coalition. They have a big night on Friday night, I understand, and which some of us are going to be at. And I'm going to just let you guys take it away. The floor is yours.
Great. Well, thank you for the time allowing us to
Come up
introduce
with the
ourselves. I'm Brian Kemp, co-chair of the Champlain Valley Farmer Coalition.
Tim Khart, co-chair, along with Brian.
And I'm Kate Longfield. I'm the new executive director.
Welcome on.
So the coalition has been in existence now for 13 years. And, we strive to support ag, support other farmers, having sustainable farms. We've been very much in the loop for the last 13 years. We were instrumental, we feel, in helping develop the RAPs. We wanted to have a unified voice for the farmers in Addison, Chittenden, Rutland County predominantly. I don't, Steve, do you want to talk some more about the mission?
Yeah, I can. So if I read from the paper here, right, the Champlain Valley Farmer Coalition assists all farmers in implementing innovative agricultural practices that enhance water quality, soil health, climate smart farming, and their economic resiliency in the Champlain Valley. We accomplish this through a positive, unified voice that provides targeted education and outreach to farmers and the public, advocates on behalf of farmers, environmental interests, and collaborates with community partners to achieve common goals. Since our inception, we have worked tirelessly to grow our membership, participate in difficult conversations around agriculture, water quality, soil health, and climate, and to educate each other in our communities. I don't think it's any secret, this group was formed after, the late failed the TMDL back in 2010, I believe it was. There's a bunch of really strong family farms in Addison County in particular that are people that do the right thing. And we just felt the importance to gather momentum and to have a voice that was heard. So people, I think that the one thing I would say that was really good that came out of that is we were forced to tell our story. We're forced to educate people and open our doors and to just inform people that don't really know what happens on a farm on a day-to-day basis. And I think that we've accomplished that to a great degree. There's always going to be people that don't really agree with what we do or why we do it. And that's okay. That's why we're where we are in this country. That's basically in a nutshell why Brian's been on it since the beginning. I've been on it since the beginning. Brian's been the president. We've done some rearrangement of our structure with the executive director position that Kate holds down now. So just trying to be focused and be a part of what happens here and stuff that we have to live by and stuff that we have to do by, and make sure that we have clear, even playgrounds amongst all shapes, sizes, and so we have the ability to keep farms going for generations to come, because it's difficult to say it mildly.
It is. And your reorganization, you guys think that that's gone in a good positive way for you folks? And obviously, moves are made and things are done and all of that, and they're all for reasons which we don't need to get into, but you're all happy with the way that it's going now?
Absolutely. Personally, absolutely. Can't speak for these guys too, but I think, and when we have our board meetings, Kate brings so much to the table, enthusiasm, wisdom, knowledge, just seems to really fit well. So we're trying to maybe hold things a little bit closer than we were trying to be. So maybe keep growing in areas that we weren't ready to grow in. And that's basically, without saying anything other than that, it's just trying to do what we do and do it well instead of trying to do too many things and not do a lot. great in some
We're
areas.
really focusing on our water quality program.
Yeah.
And that's the program that have been leading for the last couple of years. And I would just emphasize that we are a farmer knowledge sharing network. That is, excuse me, how we that's how we originated. That's what they're saying. Like, we're a unified voice, but we are more than that, more than a unified voice. We are a knowledge sharing network for farms. And I think about we've got over 500 really active and engaged people with our newsletters. We have over 130 farms. We have new members getting added like really weekly, and business sponsors that are engaged. And I just think about how we're partnering with all, every environmental and ag water quality partner across the state. We work closely with so many different groups on education events, outreach events. We and just our newsletters and sharing what's happening in Vermont ag policy and just what's happening on farms, sharing good stories, farmers. And it really we have, when I think about those members, the 130 members, those are farmers that are really part of this and wanting to stay engaged. And our water quality program is really robust. We do technical assistance visits like UVM extension. We meet with farmers and help them implement and expand conservation practices. We help them enroll and apply for grants, but also help farmers who are wanting to self-fund conservation practices. That was one of the one-pagers that I sent to Linda, that we have really spearheaded this initiative so when farmers are enrolled in conservation programs like the Agency of Ag's Farm Agronomic Practices program, they are getting compensated for cover cropping, no-till, manure injection, things like that. We have really spearheaded this project of going out and meeting with farmers and recording self-funded, farmer-funded conservation practices. The fascinating thing about this is that if we are not recording and databasing all of these practices, the acres, the actual fields and the corresponding acres, those practices and the corresponding nutrient reductions from those practices, cover crop, no-till, crop to hay, they are not being recorded and sent to the EPA for the Lake Champlain's TMDL and the different TMDLs across the state. So that has been, we are, I think, if not one of the leading organizations that is recording farmer funded practices. And I just pulled up, some of the, just me, personally, in running our water quality program, I've helped just with 24 farms. I've recorded 13,000 acres of conservation practices. And again, if these practices aren't recorded, they aren't part of the narrative. They aren't part of the TMD.
Right. They're part of the information.
They aren't it's effectively lost. And this is the actual conservation work that's happening on the ground on farms. And so to lose what farmers are self-funding, all of that conservation work seems wild. So that's just one part of our water quality program. We do so much more, but that is just one part of what we do as an organization. And all of our, the farmers that I meet with every day are really excited to record their self-funded conservation practices. They're also excited to enroll in these different programs, but there's just a lot. There's a lot there. We do a lot.
So as representatives of farmers groups, 130, as you've said, and us being your representative at the State House, what would it be important that you want us to know?
I think as bills come through, your committee, to use us as a resource. We, as Kate said, 130 plus members. We got 12 active directors. We want to be involved. I can't stress it enough. We've come up so many times in the past to testify on different bills. We know there's bills this year that pertain to us. We really want to be at the table. We want to have a voice. We want to be able to have, input and to help influence the decisions that affect us daily, as Tim said.
Right.
We live this world, and Tim and I both and a couple other directors are on the CAFO working group currently. We're meeting again tomorrow. We're going to bring, the legislative body our proposal. It's daunting, right? It's a challenging topic. We're really working hard, diligently, to try to come up with something that we feel is fair and equitable and clear. And as we all know, sitting at this table, there's been some controversy between the two agencies, and farmers are nervous, to move everything to one house is a little, unknown.
We want clarity. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, but we worked on that. As I said, we feel we were instrumental back with the RAPs. And, we've made statements before on different bills in the past and we just want to continue that. And we like to come up annually each year and introduce ourselves if there's new committee members but just to let you know that we want to be a source and we want to be at the table and it's pretty concerning at times when all of a sudden we get bombarded with something and by no fault of anybody, just it's tough to be firing every day and keep up the stuff. I mean, I know personally I rely on my other constituents, like, hey, did you know this is coming up? And I mean, full transparency, we've got Jackie Folsom, who's we've put on as a connection. He gives us a weekly report of what's going on and what's going in the committees and where we should be paying attention. We used to have Jane Clifford, they'll do that for us. And we're not lobbying, we have somebody that is on the end that knows. And so we're proud to have Jackie do that for us. We just, the days of the farmer putting his head to the grindstone and not paying attention and just are gone.
That's a good thing.
And we want to be proactive and we want to be in the discussions and the decision process.
And us as an organization, we have a really diverse farmer membership. And I just want to that has changed in the last few years. We have small organic dairies, we've got big conventional dairies, we have livestock crop farms, we have apiaries and goat dairies and vegetable farms, flower farms,
Beekeeping.
a lot of, some of our business sponsors are, Champlain Valley apiaries.
Well, we can see why you hired Kate.
Enthusiasm. Yes,
No,
very
really,
much so.
it's everybody who is part of this organization loves it dearly. This is this is a really important.
Well, I can tell you, in a biased way, because if I'm allowed to do that, you have a great committee here. Continually, just overwhelmingly impressed with the care that they provide for this Vermont farmer. And it is the Vermont farmer, from the person baking 12 loaves of bread a day, trying to figure it out, buying local sourced ingredients to the largest LFOs that you have, and then everywhere in between. I just want to run down a little list of what we were working on in our miscellaneous bill, which is probably our largest bill, and we have a couple other things on there as well. I'm not going to dive deep into it because we just had to vote the bill out because it has to meet a deadline on a procedural vote, but then we're going to get it back in and we're going to just start tearing it right down to the studs. But we have 14 things on this and then 2 additional ones after. So bear with me if we don't have a lot of information as far as to give with you. We have yet to start our work on a lot of it. But the first one is the Supreme Court decision on the right to farm. And what we have discovered, or we think that we have, is that more than anything, the Supreme Court has said, listen, we made a decision on the language that we saw, change your language. And so we tend to change the language of that decision to give them more to go on. And hopefully it gets us back to 100% of where we are at. So we're going to be working on that. And that's not going to go easy. There's going to be, now that there's a lot of other stakeholder groups that have gotten involved with it, but that is one thing that this committee is there to tackle. We have shied away from nothing. We got Vermont income, capital gains, and property transfer tax. This section would exempt net farm. It's just all about how we're getting it to move the farms to the next ownership level and what we are to do with that. So we're a lot of tax stuff that we're gonna get into that. We got accessory on-farm structure permits. We're getting, you guys are getting tackled as you're trying to diversify and bring the public in. Well, that's not a farm structure. That is a farm structure. You didn't go through Act 250. You're supposed to, and so we're gonna be settling. We're gonna try to settle some of that. Agricultural land definition. A section amends the definition of agricultural land to include a presumption that land is used for agriculture purposes if a certain amount of farm crops are donated. So you've got a lot of people out there that are donating crops and they're not being allowed into either current use or anything like that. So again, protecting farmers in such a way that it's unconventional what it has been in the past, defining what, what agricultural land is and what it means and all of that. Again, a lot more to talk about there.
Mm-hmm.
We're worried about farm kitchens. People are going to either raise their products and manufacture their products or buy their sourced products from or ingredients from local farmers. And so we're going to be talking about that. That gets down on the smaller scale of stuff, but very, very important because this committee believes in one thing, that it's not everybody's going to start out as an LFO. They're going to be like Pete's Greens, who started out at the end of this family driveway selling produce out of the garden. And now he's one of the largest manufacturers of organic vegetables in New England. So again, protecting the little person who that we believe is what's going to keep farming alive and well in the coming futures. A new electric generation facility siting is going to be really kind of on it, where they're allowing these solar fields to be on prime ag land and whatnot. So a lot of time to be spent there. Not in this bill, but we have put feelers out that we strongly believe as a committee that you've got to leave our prime ag lands alone. That there is a lot of lands out there that can be used for solar siting or home building or anything other than ag. You have, historically, not every farm is the same, but you probably, if you have 1,000 acres, you've got 300 prime ag land and maybe 700 acres of land that you're not using the way that you did in the more. You're not pasturing cows on it, but there should be no reason why that you couldn't turn that land into solar siting fields or build housing on, but keep out of our prime ag land. We're trying to have a 300-year view as far as, and we can see the future on that. We just look into Massachusetts and Connecticut, some parts of New York, and lower parts of New Hampshire, and lower parts of Vermont, and all of Vermont. What's going on with our ag land, and once it seems to be built up on, it's not ag land anymore, no matter what type of language they want to put in there. We've got some things about protected milk producers. The section would clarify that a milk producer may request a hearing regarding a dispute with a purchaser. So, stuff like that, some things that have come up. Again, a lot more discussion to have and a lot more to add to it to make it really clear about what we're trying to get to. Farm to school contracts, making sure that the product that you're raising is making it to getting a fair shot of getting into the local market and so stuff like that. We have some pest control compact repeal. That one's really not much to do with you guys. It's just some old language. Amending pesticide exam requirements. A lot of you, as you get going, now are going to be doing, are doing your own pesticide controls and all that. And somewhere along the way, there's a limit about how many times that you can take that exam before you're shut out for a year. Mm-hmm. So we're going to just kind of change that around, that you can take the test as many times as it takes to pass it without getting shut out. Again, I think it's just something that is important to farmers, to control your own destiny, and just because of whatever seed law conforming to universal standards. Again, a lot of loosey-goosey going on with seeds. I don't have to say that neonics has been a big concern about that, and although this isn't a neonics bill, it is certainly referenced in there. So a lot of seed conformity, especially as the new rules come into play. We've got VITA wants to do some different moving arounds and shifting to make themselves more efficient, to ultimately allow for a cleaner process for farmers to apply for loans or shift their personnel around to be more responsive and not so bottled down. Where the governor's proposed of getting rid of the fees on LFOs and MFOs. $2,500, $1,500, just for the right to farm. So I think we can do that. We have a floor drain study, for people producing vegetables. We have some new language coming in on current use. We've got some problems with people missing out on the filings of current use, whether it be because of a farm went to an estate, or they put a new building on, or just maybe they just didn't get the paperwork done on a yearly basis. So we're going to try to clean up some of that process. And we have some hemp language going in there. It's our wish that anybody that puts their hands in the soil and gets them dirty is a farmer. And so we're trying to make sure that that we protect that person. Now, fully understanding that once that crop's done, it's going to go to a different entity that we're not going to have control of. But again, protecting the Vermont farmer so that they can, no matter if they're growing carrots or hemp or cannabis, that they will have all of the abilities to look for grants, to deduct farming expenses, marketing expenses, and stuff like that. So a lot of different stuff that we're looking to do, which we'll be looking for your guys' input as well. We have been taking testimony on the neonicotinoids. We had Heather Darby in yesterday. Absolutely positively compelling, strong testimony on looking back at those rules and laws. We're very concerned about what happens in 2029. As you can tell, Senator Plunkett, well, you can't tell, but Senator Plunkett was involved with a ruling with the Ag that allows the law that was passed for the language to stand, that if a seed source is not viable already, when that 2029 comes along, that it isn't a blank permit by any way, shape, or form. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with it, but that you will not be shut out from growing corn with neonicotinoid coated seeds. But again, not a mandate, but that's the way that it is. So we're looking at a lot of different stuff to protect the Vermont farmer. And I'm just going to be honest. This committee's going to get sick of hearing it. You've got a good group of people here that are watching out for your interest.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
And I think that's where, we want to help, as a group, when if you need testimony, we want to be involved.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of good farmers, and as Kate said, very diverse from the veggie growers to LFOs.
Yeah.
They would all want to come in.
Right. Well, we just had Betsy Girl was in here just barely, and some health people and all of that. That locally grown product in Vermont is healthy or can be healthy, and how to get it to the masses of the people. So we talked about a lot of that stuff. We were in a conversation the other day on this fierce group that I'm able to be around, where we told the people on the land use review board that they didn't think that maybe home kitchens ought to be in downtown areas, where we'll say, well, we'll fight you on that, because we will, because that might be just where they have a chance to start. And just because that is a designation that you don't believe that they ought to be in, we will fight you on that. So we will fight for anything that we think is going to impact farmers in any way. And we're ready to go. So, yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Brian, good to see you, and it's Kate, Tim. How many other coalitions are there statewide? And I look at the state almost as a west-east situation. You mentioned the farmers in Addison County with the TMDL. So we deal with phosphorus for the most part with the headwaters of Lake Champlain. The other side's doing something with nitrogen.
It's nitrogen. Yeah.
But how many other western side coalitions are there?
Well, FWA, Franklin County Watershed Alliance of St. Albans area, right? So I'd say they're the western. And then, the Vermont Dairy Producer Alliance has grown. And they're pretty much statewide. I mean, we have members of our group that are members of the VDPA, and I think you met with them last week.
We did.
We were at the CAPO meeting, otherwise some of us might have gone to that too. And then, like you said, the Connecticut River Watershed, I can't remember their acronym.
Farmers Alliance. Yeah.
That's a mouthful. Paul Dalton.
Yep.
So I think those are the four larger primary, other than you've got NOFA and rural Vermont, you got Grass Farmers Association. They all have, advocacy for ag, but I think as working farmers, I think those are the four major watershed group. Unfortunately, the southern end of the state, I think is not well represented, and there are farms down there. I mean,
Yeah,
probably more vegetable than dairy or beef, but still there is.
I was surprised in
And-
kind of Plunkett area, how many acres of agriculture that were down there.
Oh, yeah, I mean.
I was floored
Yeah.
when I looked at that,
Yeah, my former employer started farming with beef in South Newfane, Vermont, which is just like this, but we leased land in Wilmington, another 15 miles away over the mountain, but we did it for years. And yeah, until you're down there, you don't realize there is, when you get over in the Bennington area, predominantly there's quite a bit of ag land and good land.
Well, I think three of us are on Senate institutions, and we were actually instrumental. We did it. We gave the money for the veterans home. Just when they had a lot of land down there, and so they're starting a farm, a local farm garden where it's even bigger than that, where they're actually going to produce product and sell product and teach and incorporate. And so so we
And there's strong things down there like the Putney Co-op and things like that really support the smaller farm and ag community down there. But I don't know of a farmer-led group that far south. Like I say, we have a few Rutland County. The farm I manage, Heifer Meadows Farm, we're in both Addison and Rutland County. We're in Sudbury and Orwell. So and we have a few others from the Paula area members that are down
where you in Sudbury.
right on Route 30.
Yeah.
On Beef Farm forever.
Oh, I see.
It was Rocky Knoll.
Yeah.
And then it was Mountain.
So I
Meadows.
used to work for Law's Agriculture Services.
Yeah,
I was at
Brad
your
told me
farm
that.
and you were just a
Okay.
little small dude.
Yeah.
And so
I was on the phone with Brad this morning.
Yeah, I'm sorry
We're-
about that.
We're 4 miles. Yeah. No, and he's told me that. He used to work with him.
Yeah,
And,
he's a good guy.
yeah, he is.
Yeah.
So, I think to answer your question, it's primarily the four larger
Okay.
ones.
We work with the Natural Resource Conservation District down in Pulteney, Meadowee area.
Oh,
but,
yeah, we've had them up too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that brings up a good point. When we look at funding annually, we work very strongly with extension. That was years ago when Jeff Carter was there and his crew. And there was a little dip when he retired, but we work very closely with them, and they have Sean Lucas is the new in the Middlebury office conservationist, and he's building a team. He's gotten some funding back, and he's got 2 or 3 personnel there. And we have been like so intertwined with the extension. So when it comes to funding, we always urge funding to extension, not just University of Vermont, because
Oh,
I
that's
think
right.
it goes, but that and the conservation districts, Middlebury Otter Creek Conservation District has been challenged a little bit over the
Yeah.
years. There's new employees now. We look to grow that relationship, but we understand, there was other parts of the state. Connecticut's a good example. That was remiss in conservation district 10 to 15 years ago. So a lot of the funding went there because we had extensions so prominent in Addison County.
Yeah.
So we've been a little remiss in some of the programs that we've put out. I was on the paper performance working group as we formed that for 3 years, and that was something that the legislature asked for. And in that, they said, the conservation districts are going to lead that. And I remember saying, well, great for the areas in the state that had a strong conservation district. But at the time, ours, the Otter Creek one, which is predominantly, from Rutland up to Ferrisburg or whatever, is weak. We don't have that personnel at the time or that.
Well, I think you bring a very good point with that. And, you mentioned the gentleman that had left one organization, and maybe they didn't have a strong enough succession planning to make sure that their voices got out there and told the story about what they do. And I've just seen a difference in a couple of years what the conservation groups have done. They've been around since 1929, very, very powerful as far as what they do, but they haven't And no, not just huge, strong criticism, but I think that they really kind of lacked in telling people about what they really do, how important that they are and what they can get accomplished and, who they're seeing and what they're doing and telling their story a little bit. And I think that they're doing a better job of that. And it makes it, in this building, you gotta tell your story if you think you're gonna get any money. And the better you can tell your story, the better chances that it is. And especially, I think that you can be supported in this building in a lot of different ways and not supported in a lot of different ways. But I do think the overall belief in this building is that we have to protect Vermont farmers. And so your story that's told loud and clear is a very compelling thing to be said. So I think that if I give any advice to anyone, make sure that you're out in front and you're telling people what you're doing.
Yeah, right. You all are aware of the Monument Farms thing that's coming out right now.
Powerful.
There's more to come.
Yeah,
And it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
It's huge. How closely are you following the tiling? What's going on with tiling?
Very closely, I mean, it's one of those cases where we're nervous, that sets a precedence if that was to go through. And it is a non-point source by the EPA's standards. It's not considered a point source discharge. And yet we all know there's others that want to see it that way. And Addison County alone, is the land probably that needs most of the tile drainage, the soils. And there's not a lot, there's not a tremendous amount, but for those farms that are able to put it in, it's a tool. It's just another tool for being successful and being sustainable. And to see it possibly being jeopardized or regulated in a different way, it's very concerning.
We've asked Heather Darby, who has done a lot on that.
Josh Faulkner.
Yeah, so she's gonna come in, soon, and bring us up to speed on that right there. So we'll be aware and be following with that as well.
Again, whether it's tile drainage or neonics or herbicides, these are all tools that we use daily. And it's scary as a farmer when you see different bills coming through, and I know you've got some testimony later on bill coming through on an herbicide. It's whether we're using it right now or not, but to lose that, it sets a precedent. It's just that much easier for the next one next year, and that's where as farmers, we feel like we need to be at the table. If we don't speak up on behalf of ourselves, we can't rely on just Heather Darby, to speak for us.
Right.
And I think it has more impact and resignation with the public sector if they know we're involved than if we just sit.
Yeah. I think, I agree with that. One thing that we've done very well in this committee is that we have kept the politics out of it and we have looked at the true science of everything. It's not an easy thing to do in this building. We can't control all of that, but at least as what we are here, we are able to be the storytellers of anything that we bring out of this committee, and then try to hold strong with where the other pressures will come from. So.
I mean, some of the discussions that are happening within that stakeholders group there that we're in, a lot of it comes back to funding at the end of the day, right? And how do these things happen? And you all are aware where the milk price is right now. It's not a new phenomenon of a dip way down, and we all want to be in compliance and do all these improvements that we need to do. I don't know where the money comes from. I don't think there's piles of it sitting up here, and I don't think there's piles of it sitting in Washington. But somehow that needs to be a piece of the road that gets navigated going forward. Is how are we able to swing it all financially?
And there's pressures as well. I mean, I was tackled in the hallway today about your stakeholder group, and somebody believing that the agency ought to be thrown out of it and let, you guys all talk and, let you and the environmentals talk and this and that. Well, and I said, well, why would I agree with something like that? Why wouldn't we just keep everybody in the room and get the conversation going? Well, I really don't feel that, people really talk up when when the agency's there. I said, well, I just think that it's all pretty good to keep everybody in the same room talking all at the same time and trying to work out something because it's stakeholders, right? So it's stakeholders. So you're gonna throw out one group because I just think it's important that everybody stay in that room and talk together. So yeah, I mean, again, you've got pressures from the outside and
Right. Nobody wants to be propped up and held up, right? And subsidized. And how do we make it keep going? Right. That feels yucky to everybody because we all are proud people. And so it's unfortunate that it's the milk pricing system isn't better, right? So we're paid a price that allows us to continue to flourish. But
we shouldn't throw regulations and mandates on you and not.
correct. The bar keeps getting raised, Steve, and it keeps getting raised and it keeps getting raised. And then people fall out and drop out because they can't keep stepping up. And then you get consolidation, less and less farms we're an LFO, not because we went down the road because we wanted to be one. It's because that's the way that the road was paved for us. So in order to keep being successful and to have future generations have a choice, we knew we had to grow. It's not the road for everybody. So I want the organic dude to be successful too. I want the small farm to be successful because we're all in it together for our state. Yeah.
well, good. Were you guys able to tell us what you wanted us to hear today?
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
thanks for the time.
Yeah, thanks for the time.
We'll see you on Friday. And
We're all
we'll do that.
We're headed to LTAG.
Okay.
And we were unable yet. We tried to get in with natural resources, set up that, but so we're just trying to go around and like I say,
And it's very important what you do.
bend the
In
knee.
the eighties, we didn't think it was worth sending a voice up here. And now we realized, wow, we should have had voices here. Because most of the time it was farmers.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, 50 years ago, you had probably 3 farmers or 4 at this table maybe, and yeah.
Now you're no longer the area experts. It's the other people, the area experts. Like, no, not really. We won't get.
Yeah. So, yeah, we appreciate your time and listening and anytime that you feel you need somebody at the table from the community, please reach out.
We'll reach out. We're not shy about that.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And we are in touch with the other watershed groups and we work together a lot. We're always, so,
Your energy would tell me yes. You're supposed to act out. Okay, so
All right, thank you.
Congratulations on your reorganization and I'm glad it's going well for you. I did meet with the past people here early in the summer and I'm glad I had a chance to meet with you folks today. So
Super.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for what you do.
Take care.
You want me to see if I can pay the independent.
If they want to come or whatever, yeah, we'll take a break until you figure that out. We'll take a break till 11 or so.